was raining lightly that night. At 2:17 in the morning, a soft chime sounded from the computer on my desk. It was the familiar notification tone the system made whenever a new patient registered at the clinic. I stretched, my eyes heavy, as I looked up from the stack of dusty paper records I had been archiving. This was a small, isolated hospital just outside Prince Rupert, on the north coast of British Columbia. Overnight shifts were quiet, usually staffed by only a handful of people. The records office felt like the most secluded room in the building. Just me, row upon row of tall metal filing cabinets, and a single glass window facing the dimly lit employee parking lot. I glanced over at the patient tracking monitor. Name, asterisk my name, employee ID, asterisk 0842J, asterisk status, asterisk ARRIVED. Walk in, I froze. My heart dropped. Underneath my name was a street address I didn't recognize. I clicked out of the window, forcing myself to relax. I told myself I was just exhausted and had accidentally clicked a duplicate testing key. 30 seconds later, the system chimed again. Same name, same employee ID, different patient number. My hand trembled slightly as I picked up the landline and dialed the emergency desk. The nurse who answered sounded worn out. "Hey," I asked, trying to sound casual. "Did someone just register a patient under my name?" "No," she said instantly. Then she paused. The faint clatter of her keyboard stopped completely. "Wait, where are you right now?" "I'm in records." "Lock the door," she whispered. "Do not leave that room." A cold wave washed down my spine. I stood up and walked toward the window overlooking the parking lot. Outside, shrouded in thin coastal fog, a single white SUV sat near the staff entrance. Its engine was idling silently, but its headlights were off. I couldn't make out the license plate. "Security is on their way," the nurse's voice came through the receiver. The automatic staff door's proximity sensor triggered twice in the last 10 minutes. The first time, no one walked in. The second time, someone held the door open from the outside. I tried to cling to logic. Maybe a coworker forgot their badge. Maybe someone needed medical help and panicked. Maybe the hospital's database was glitching. Then my desk phone rang again. "They found something in the waiting area," the nurse said, her voice shaking. "I'm sending you a photo." My screen lit up with an internal message attachment. It was a picture of a clear plastic hospital wristband left on a chair near the public entrance. Printed on, it was my full name and my exact date of birth. But the registration profile photo attached to the file wasn't mine. It was a man standing in the dark. The image was grainy, but he was facing the camera directly, wearing a dark jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. "That photo didn't come from our human resources system," the nurse whispered. "Someone uploaded it manually tonight." "That's impossible," I said, my voice rising. "Only registration computers can upload new ID photos." "Look at the background behind him," she replied. I zoomed in on the image. Reflected in the glass behind the man was a faintly lit sign overhead. Despite the glare, the letters were clear. "Staff entrance." The photo had been taken right outside our building. just yards away from where I was sitting. I scrambled over to the door and slammed the manual lock into place, my breath coming in ragged hitches. Over the security radio channels, chaotic chatter broke out. Security checked the exterior feeds and confirmed the white SUV had arrived at 1:48 a.m. A figure had stepped out and walked toward the building. But right as he approached, the exterior camera feed cut out, a mysterious 4-minute gap in the footage. By the time the video feed restored, the person was gone. At 1:51 a.m., access logs showed my employee badge had been scanned at the staff entrance door. Yet my physical badge was still pinned to my chest. I could feel it pressed against my fingers. The moment it remotely disabled my access card, a third registration popped up on my screen. This time, the address listed was an empty rural lot outside the city limits. The patient's name was random gibberish, but the emergency contact phone number was my personal cell phone. "He's standing outside the ER doors right now," the nurse called back, her voice breaking. Security sees him on the live camera. Dark jacket, baseball cap. He's not trying to get in. He's just standing there, staring through the glass. Then, as calmly as he had arrived, he turned and walked away into the night. The police arrived around 3:00 a.m., but the SUV was long gone. Hours later, just before sunrise, officers located the vehicle abandoned behind an old industrial warehouse a few miles away. Inside, they found a trove of burner phones, blank hospital wristbands, and printed photocopies of hospital employee IDs. Mine was on the very top of the stack. The police concluded it was an organized identity theft ring testing stolen system credentials to breach high-value medical records. It confirmed an exploit in an outdated staff directory had allowed remote access. The case seemed closed until nearly a year later. I received a private letter from the hospital's compliance committee containing a copy of the forensic digital audit from that night. They were forwarding it because of one anomaly that every investigator had originally overlooked. The first fake patient check-in had registered on my computer screen at *2, 17 M***. However, the raw metadata showed that the photograph of the man standing outside the staff entrance had been uploaded to the server at *1, 43 M***, 34 minutes before the first registration ever existed. And embedded within the image file was a cell phone GPS tag. It didn't point to the main parking lot or the staff entrance. The coordinates showed the photo had been taken from the edge of the tree line, aimed directly at the illuminated window of the records office, capturing a clear view of me sitting alone at my desk.